So I guess this is the 2020 tank team.
7K dreamer please.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we'll be looking at Mythical Awakened Rudy in Arena. I've already made him plus 10 very quickly after the update came live. He is my first 7 night, so I'm super excited for this entire update. Okay, and we're gonna take a look at him in Arena. This is currently my team. I'm using Freyja, Sage, Regenlave, and Rosie and Rudy. So Regenlave is my speed leader as usual, and Rudy uses his top skill very early because it is a non-damage skill. This top skill applies 2 skill nullification to all allies, recovers all allies HP, and also decreases enemy buff duration. So it's very utility based. Okay, his heal is pretty bad, especially when the opponent has Chris and Sage. But his skill nullification is insane. Why is it insane? That's because it even guards against entire skill effects. So it really gives your whole team 2 times of full immunity. So if you manage to use this right before the enemy uses her skill, and you will not be getting any Agnes Flame, and that is a huge buff. Okay. Also, he decreases buff duration for your enemies, so it's very good if you bring down their Guardian Rings if they have by 1 turn. And for his bottom skill, which is this skill, he is dealing 300% physical damage to 4 enemies, ignores 70% defense, and also deals 200% additional damage to offensive and magic enemies. And this is very strong, but you do need the right multipliers. And for my case, I only gave him lethal weapons, so there's no crit multiplier, nothing too fancy, so he doesn't deal too much, but I can foresee it being a very strong skill to be used. For his Awakened skill, which he hasn't used, it deals 40,000 fixed damage to 4 enemies and decreases their attack stat by 50% for 4 turns. Also, it increases their skill cooldown, so it's a very good skill for a tank unit because tank units shouldn't be dealing so much damage compared to offensive and magic units, right? So having a very strong fixed damage skill, I think that's pretty decent and acceptable. His effect attack is not too good, I feel, because it only decreases physical and magic attack by 1000 for 3 turns. Then again, we're not sure if this stacks, because if he continuously counters, can he actually reduce a single enemy's attack stat by a lot? Okay, we're not too sure. 1000, out of, usually enemies should have about 20,000 attack stat, so 1000 out of 20,000 is really little. I'm not too sure if it really makes a significant difference, but I've seen some players actually go with the speed build and a counter build for Rudy in order to utilize his this effect attack. So it could be worth considering, but I haven't really seen the effects of it. We'll look at it maybe in a future video. Currently, I'm giving him double lethal instead. Okay, double lethal because every time he uses a skill, it will cool down his other skills as well, which is very beneficial for him because you want him to use his top skill continuously. The more chances he can use his top skill and skill nullification, you pretty much get a better chance at winning the whole match. And for his armor, of course, I've given him double HP, and for his jewel, I have actually given him damage reduction from block, survive on 1 HP, and you can give him skill cooldown. In my case, I've given him the 7 Knight of Old Jewel, which is the physical attack and defense increase 1, but you can give him skill cooldown. I'm not too sure what other things you can use. Maybe also increase awakening gauge, charge speed, just more defensive jewels in nature, and blue jewels are better. For his accessory, I've given him the Phantom Earring, which is the event one, which decreases magic damage taken, and also the Willful Ring. So far, it seems to be working pretty well because the enemies are still mostly magic based, and I think that's gonna help my Rudy against them. And for traits, Paralyze, Electrify, and Blind are the more common ones. You can also give others if you want. You can even give the damage reduction from certain enemies as well. So in terms of power and bulk, I think he is pretty okay for a tanky hero, for a defensive hero, and definitely against the current meta, his damage output is pretty high because they are mostly offensive and magic teams. He synergizes well with almost any team, and there could be a potential for a tank team to come back. But then again, as I mentioned earlier, in the opening, it seems like, you know, with all the heroes having so many decreased lethal rate, decreased crit rate, decreased physical attack, all that kind of stuff, you kind of are having a tank meta already. It's just that, you know, using magic and offensive heroes who are more defenseless in nature, you know what I mean? So that battles don't go too long but aren't too short as well. So there are certain tank mechanics in place in the game already. It's just that we don't have the number and quantity of defensive heroes to actually make it look like a tank team. Yeah. And counters for Rudy, I think there's one very obvious counter for Rudy, and that is Freyja, which I also want to link to his passive. So Rudy's passive is pretty gross. He decreases all damage taken by 50% for 6 turns, increases defense and block rate by 10% each turn, okay, each turn, up to 100%, and during which all allies will receive half the effects the caster gets. So I think it only refers to the growth in the defense and block rate that he gets, and it spreads to the whole team. So the team can get 50% of increased defense and block rate, okay? He also reflects 50% of damage taken if you unlock his exclusive item. So all those in place, he is also a very good ally to have on the team because he raises your whole team's bulk. And that said, Freyja is one who actually has block nullification, and so does Regenleif on her effect attack, which means you are going to have a direct counter, easy counter, regardless of how high his block rate is. Freyja will just ignore all that with his block nullification. The defense increase, however, is a real thing, okay? So basically, I think Rudy is a very strong character right now. You can see, I'm going to talk about the matches from here on because I just wanted to speed past all the equipment and builds so that we can focus on the matches, because I think the matches are very interesting with Rudy around now. You will see that my Rudy has casted his shields and he still has the shields on, okay? And just to elaborate on how he fits in with this team, you realize that I put Phi at the back. In some of the matches, you will see that my Phi does not even get into Immortal stage, and that is how good the shield is for Phi, especially with her at the back, because she seldom gets targeted unless it is a 5-man target attack. And even if it's a 5-man target attack, imagine you have Mr. Armor and Rosie. Phi will barely take any damage, okay? Currently, I only have Rosie, I don't have Mr. Armor. So, I mean, you see, even at this stage of the match, Phi actually took 0 damage because the shield was still up and because no one actually touched her, no enemy touched her. And that's how strong it is. And I'm pretty much still alive, my whole team is still alive. Also, you have Rudy healing, Regenleif healing, and Rosie healing. Ironically, Regenleif heals more than Rudy and Rosie, right? Because of her 200% magic attack heal. Rudy and Rosie's heal, well, they're supplementary to her, I feel, so it really keeps your whole team alive, and there's this insane healing thing going on. Sage is the direct counter to all the heals because he reduces recovery rate by 70%. So I think that is something that you must have. Sage is a must have basically, otherwise your enemy could be healing too much and you cannot keep up. So once again, Rudy uses his skill first, his top skill first, because it is a non-damaging skill. And in this case, enemy's Phi goes second. But she didn't use the Agnes Flame skill, so I cannot show you that my team didn't get the Agnes Flame, okay? Weapon destruction here, so even if your enemy has Rosie and uses weapon destruction on you with the shield up, it won't go through. Like in this case, no bleed at all. Okay, I have no bleed resist, okay, but there was no bleed done to me. That's how powerful the shield is. And unfortunately, Agnes Flame got through here. So things to note is that Rudy's shield will not guard against Agnes Flame, Rudy's shield will not guard against Regenleif's third attack proc, boom effect, okay? These are things that will bypass the shield. The shield really only guards against actual skills and their effects. So the reason why I took out Freyja is because, I mean, I love Freyja, honestly, I love Freyja. But I think Sage is just too useful in terms of his passive. And Rosie is just a must-have now for the magic units. And the defense and the support capability, whereby she reduces 5-man AoE damage. And Regenleif, I mean, I cannot remove Regenleif, and I cannot remove Phi as well. Right? Phi is just too good. However, I do want to say that I may look into putting in Fenrir again when there are more Rudys around, because Fenrir really, once he applies the block nullification, regardless of how high your block rate is, he will just ignore all of that. So he's a very direct counter to Rudy. And interestingly though, because right now the meta is so magic, surrounded by magic units, Rudy coming in, not only is he a physical attack user, he may actually buff physical offensive heroes, because like what I said, he's actually buffing Phi a lot. Look at my Phi is still at full health, whereas the enemy's Phi is down already. Okay, so that is something very important to consider, whether Rudy is actually gonna pave way again for offensive teams, or are you really gonna have a mixture? Because I'm really not sure. Things are happening so fast within just 2 weeks, right? I'm actually a bit shocked that I have to take out Freyja to try Rudy out. I don't know who I will actually sub in again, because Freyja actually doesn't buff the team except for a crit damage increase. And in this case with Rudy, I mean, I don't even know if the damage is gonna be a lot from Freyja. Freyja herself is a fixed damage user and she will definitely do a lot of damage, but you know, with the shields and all that, I'm not too sure. Like you see in this case, Freyja actually did nothing to my team at all. So I'm using this offensive, the skill that he, 0 damage. Unfortunately my shields are down, so I may get blinded, but I do have blind resist, so it's okay. And you know, if Freyja steps out of the meta, then blind is gonna be gone as well. Blind resist is gonna be gone, and I don't know, we may have another debuff coming up. The enemy's fight still has a shields, okay? So yeah, basically we're facing kind of the same setup here, except that the enemy has Melia, and Melia is really not strong at all. As you can see, she dies very quickly currently in the meta, and she doesn't do that much damage because of Rosie. And I'm on skill cooldown, I'm on insane skill cooldown, so that's something you want to take note as well. Sometimes you'll get locked by cooldown if the enemy Rudy uses Awakened skill. So you know, if you don't have the skill cooldown jewel, you don't have lethal weapons, sometimes your Rudy may only be able to use the shield skill once, especially if he doesn't use it right from the start. And then, you know, you won't have the maximum benefits. I mean, look at my Rudy, he's still at almost full health. And that's also because he's the willful ring, but still almost full health at this stage of the match when the enemy is almost down. You know, it's really something. And my Sage as well. And my Rosie as well. And remember when we got Rosie, we were saying how frail she is, but look at her now. I think Rosie's utility has grown immensely from the day she was released, with all the support to support her, and she will support back, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I think this is a very tight team. I am looking to using Fenrir again and see how that goes. I think future metas will also include more offensive units coming back as well. So let me know what you think of Rudy so far. If you have tried him out, I think he is an amazing unit. All my matches have been very smooth. And if you found this video helpful, do give it a like and subscribe to my channel. Stay tuned for more guys. Thank you so much and see you!